The fix he offered at 1:11 a.m. The documentary on TV was working too hard. Drone shots, cello swells, the host whispering as if tragedy needed inside voices. Theo watched the buffering wheel like a lifeguard. "Your phone's acting weird. Want me to fix it?" He didn't look at me. He addressed the device, the way medics talk to a wound to keep the patient calm. "What's weird?" I asked. "Lag, battery cycling, cache bloat," he said, and nodded at his own triage. He has a gifted tone for small emergencies. I handed him the little rectangle that stores my life, like lending someone a spine. He worked. General settings, storage, background refresh, subtle toggles that sound like you're plucking lint off a shirt. While he scrolled, his face reflected in the dark glass, composed, a slightly worried kindness, the expression of a man who likes to be useful more than he likes to be known. "Done," he said, and did a ceremonial kiss to the top edge, his running joke. I laughed without deciding to. At 2:07, I fell asleep. My last conscious thought was petty. The host's hair didn't match the gravity of the case. At 6:02, Sia sent a screenshot of me checking into the Lodestar Hotel. At 6:04, my mother wrote, "Safe to talk?" Our family's phrase for, "Is there bad news with your name on it?" At 6:10, a building alert reported my badge opening the office at 5:11 a.m. I stared at the inbox until the emails fused into one sentence. There's a version of me the world trusts more than me. Theo came out with 2 coffees and a steady face. "We'll fix it," he said. And the plural landed like a tool on the table. We. My pajama shirt stuck to my back. The kettle clicked off by itself. I tried to line events in a row. Sleep at 2, screenshots by 6, a door opening my body never approached. The day already felt like testimony. 2. The second phone you don't own. At 9:40, a rideshare receipt arrived. 3:02 a.m., R block to Lodestar. Driver, call. The app attached a selfie, overhead dome light, face arranged into my proximity. Look long enough and you see it. Wrong earrings. Mine are oval hoops, not teardrops. Last winter's coat, I donated it because it made me look like an assistant detective, not a person. It was me with asterisks that only a lover notices. Sia took the stairs 2 at a time and arrived with croissants, the sweater I loaned her 2 years ago, and triage eyes. She didn't sit. She posted up at the table like a nurse. "Give me the boring. Last night." I said, "Pasta. We bullied the water to boil. Documentary with drone footage pretending to be plot. Teeth, bed." "Receipts?" she asked. Her favorite word. "Just us," I said, and the phrase sounded weak the second it left me. Just us is only evidence if us has already auditioned for a genre. Theo hovered. "Could be spoofing," he offered, palms open. "SIM swap, cloned number. We swap your SIM, change everything, we're fine." "Who is we?" I asked. He blinked like I'd mispronounced a basic word. At noon, the Lodestar invoiced me for a room I never saw. The signature looked like my name after tears. True enough for strangers, wrong enough for me. The invoice subtotal was oddly satisfying, round numbers pretending to be clean. "You didn't go," Sia said, firm. "Which means someone did with your number. This isn't hack, this is twin." I learned a new category of threat in an instant. Not theft of money, not theft of objects, but theft of administration. Someone had found a way to be me to the computers. The phone store rep had the gentle smile pharmacies issue with name tags. She typed like she was steering a boat through fog. 2 IMEIs on this number overnight, she said. One is your device, one isn't. She rotated the monitor just enough to imply transparency without feeding a policy violation. Cloud logins at 2:48 a.m. from probably nearby. I can't see a street. I can see cell tower suggests proximity. Can someone add a device to my cloud without me seeing a banner? I asked. If they have your password, she said, or if they asked for a code and you read it out loud while reading a recipe. People do that when they share a kitchen.
I thought of Theo on the couch, the way he said caches like a man who wants to be overheard being competent. We left with a new SIM and a printout that looked official enough to hold. Change everything, the rep said. Two-factor through an app, not SMS. Kill text forwarding and call relays. And, no offense, maybe stop saying codes out loud. On the walk home, Sia passed me a pocket notebook with ledger stamped in a serif that made me trust it. She said, write down the dull version of every hour for a week. No plot. Chairs. When your body was, where, with which jaw tension. Jealousy wants a choreography. Love wants chairs. Theo put his hand on the small of my back and said, we'll show your mom the rep's note. We'll show it HR. We'll show whoever asks. I heard the word show like lighting direction. I thought, he likes a stage. I need a room. The Lodestar manager wore a tie someone else ironed for him. He placed a printout on the counter like a nurse placing lab results. 251. Enter. 318. Exit. Card holder, Mira Vale. The font was respectable, a sans serif that begs belief. Can I see the footage? I asked, apologetic. He winced. Hospitality has rules. We don't release recordings, he said, then lowered his voice. I can tell you, masked in the lobby, head down, fast walk. That's, not a common vibe here anymore. Mask, my jacket, the quiet hurry of someone performing a person. I thanked him too many times. The elevator chimed for a couple arguing about towels, the hallway smelled like citrus cleaner, and the carpet had the precise pattern that hides stains without admitting why it must. Outside, Theo hugged me the way you hug a person you just accidentally pushed toward stairs. He said, we'll frame this for your mom. We'll frame it for Sia. Stop saying frame. It's not a photograph. Back home, Theo changed the Wi-Fi name, the password, the router position, and the door code. He explained attack surface like a man giving a tour of a museum where feelings go to be labeled. When he slept, I lay awake and tried to hear which appliance knew more about me than I did. The router blinked like a calm liar. The fridge hummed a hum of plausible innocence.
5. The old lie I owed. There was a winter I dislike remembering. I met a person whose applause sounded like comprehension. I mistook being seen for being loved. I told Theo eventually, carefully, late. Therapy. Terms rupture, repair, rupture again in smaller letters, repair with duct tape. We survived it with rules. Rule 1, say the thing before the camera does. Rule 2, when afraid, inventory. I obeyed for months. Then a hotel receipt with my name outran my mouth. Forgiveness doesn't feed itself, Sia said. We were on the fire escape, handing each other coffee through a window like smugglers of warmth. He forgave you in public, she said, and grieved you in private. Sometimes grief learns software. It makes little control panels so it doesn't have to look at the sky. You think it's Theo, I said. The words tasted like betrayal in my mouth, but they did not leave. I don't think, she said gently. I inventory. Start yours. She tapped the ledger. Boring is how you win in court and in kitchens. That afternoon, a polite email with the building's badge audit contradicted the 5:11 a.m. door story. Collectively, the systems were saying, someone used your name well enough to pass the machines. I learned what admin fraud feels like in the body. Cold behind the throat, heat in the palms, thoughts arranging themselves into bullet points even as the heart insists on paragraphs. 6. The quiet clerk I became. I wrote the hours like a clerk who adored the archive. 6:12, toast. Theo sacredly watched toaster like a man who believes in Browning. 8:03, printer jam. Paper emerged wrinkled but loyal. 9:31, HR ping. Full sentences, no exclamation points. 11:54, Mrs. Klein's dachshund sneezed like a trumpet. I laughed alone.
It still counted. 1:22. Email draft to mom, deleted. Wrote again without adjectives. I stapled receipts. Bodega Seltzer at 2:11 a.m. with the cashier's name initialed. Mrs. Flores's door cam screenshot. My slippers on the second step at 2:13. The raccoon Sia named twice at 2:16. The elevator's data panel note, light service mode at 2:19. The ledger grew heavy with small proof of ordinary life. At 4:11 p.m., the clone phone called Sia in my voice. If anyone asks, I slept at yours. Sia recorded it, saved the metadata, sent it to me with, not you. She noted the cadence, how the voice hit consonants like following a manual. My voice blurs edges when I'm tired. At 5:20, the building manager emailed Theo, not me, 2 fobs for Mira, kindly return extra. The phrase kindly return landed like polite handcuffs. Ledger, 5:22. This is not a hack. This is a house.
Seven. The confrontation I didn't stage. In the streaming version, I slam a box labeled evidence and deliver a closing argument about love and theft. In the version we got, I opened the fridge and stared at condensation. How many phones do I own? I asked the carrots. Theo laughed over his shoulder, then stopped when he saw my face. Baby, can we talk about last winter first? He asked gently. His favorite detour. Winter is his corkroom. We can grieve the winter, I said. We cannot clone the spring. He filled 2 glasses and slid one to me like a check. If you think I'm doing something, show me. Let me fix it. We'll fix it. I don't want court. I want inventory. I put the ledger between us. Return the extra fob. Show me your settings. He unlocked his phone without a flinch and passed it over. On paper, everything was fine. No forwarding, relay off, authenticator used. It was almost too correct. He watched me the way you watch a toddler near an expensive sculpture you secretly hate. His secret wasn't inside a menu, it was in the room. Ledger. Ask for the drawer. 8. The drawer. The second phone lived under the oven, behind a foam panel and 2 brittle manuals, a slender handset with my wallpaper, my lock screen joke, my missed calls. Battery at 99. Case matte black, the kind you buy when you want a tool, not an accessory. It glowed with readiness like a well-fed lie. I placed it on the kitchen table and sat. He came in with a dish towel, saw it, saw me, saw the ledger. His face did arithmetic. I wanted to protect us, he said. The sentence men say when they have already chosen. From what? I asked. From surprise, he said. From a version of you I can't prepare for. If the bad version happens on your schedule, you think you can love me better? He nodded. It looked like relief to have the ugly thoughts said aloud. I forgave you. He meant the winter. But forgiveness is poor at planning. I wanted something I could plan. I used my number to clone a monster, I said. I didn't raise my voice. People whisper in museums. This felt like that. He reached a hand across the table. Palm up. I didn't take it. We sat with the thing. Then I asked for something I didn't know I wanted until the moment I heard it come out of my mouth. I said, make me your ledger, not your alibi. 9. The circle I didn't want to enter. Sia booked the community center back room where yoga classes leave their ghost of eucalyptus. Iris Kincaid arrived with a portable printer and a plastic bin of pens, rules already written on the whiteboard. No interrupting.
No evidence the other person hasn't consented to hear. No stories about a person who can tell it themselves. Silence counts when you're trying not to cry. Theo sat like a man auditioning for remorse. Iris asked questions you can't dodge with adjectives. What happened? What did you take that wasn't yours? What did you want to feel? I mirrored her accounts, Theo said, and I watched him test each noun before letting it out. I cloned her number, I staged receipts. I wanted to feel competent in the face of a thing I couldn't control. I forgave her. The forgiveness didn't get food. He looked at his hands. Old lessons lived there. When it was my turn, I didn't produce videos. I produced hours. Toast at 6:12. Printer at 8:03. HR ping at 9:31. Dog sneeze at 11:54. Seltzer at 2:11 a.m. Slippers at 2:13. Elevator sigh at 2:19. I said, I don't want a jury. I want a room that remembers chairs. Officer Menard, who sits in these circles in jeans, with his badge on a lanyard like a heavy necklace, said screenshots move crowds. Ledgers move rooms. Pick which you intend to live in. I wrote it down with the same itch you get when you know a sentence will be needed later. We finished with assignments. Iris asked, what goes back? And what stays? She loves verbs that imply hands.
At 2:39 a.m., my mother received 3 texts from a new number labeled Mira. Heading to Lodestar. Need to think. Don't tell Theo. She forwarded them to Theo with, help her, because mothers are courageous and bad at sleeping. Theo almost put on his shoes. Stop, I said, and he did. And the relief was so sudden I had to sit down. We drove to Iris's office. She met us in slippers and authority. She led us to a clear bin with a sealed tag. Mira Vale, received 10:24 p.m. Custodian I. Kincaid. Chain 091. The phone inside slept dark. It hadn't moved. The new messages had come from a different twin. Sia woke enough to say the word we'd avoided, brother. Theo's brother had been helping, the kind of help that turns your life into a group project. Theo cried a clean cry then, not curated, not for effect. Salt and breath and embarrassment without a stage. We added a rule to Iris's board, the squeak of the marker like a small alarm. No one operates Mira's life with Mira off stage, underlined twice. I took a photo of the board and printed it. It went into keep. Theo texted his brother a single sentence. Delete me from your plan. Then he set his phone face down and walked the length of the room twice, a man being taught a new religion, pockets empty. People believe what moves them. Crowds move for screenshots. Rooms move for ledgers, Menard said. So we invited a room, not a crowd. Sia, my mother, Mrs. Flores, doorbell union representative, Cal, the rideshare driver. He brought coffee and a face that says, I testify more than I expected in this life. Theo's brother late, like punctuality confesses guilt. We read the sequence aloud like minutes from a meeting where the subject is us. Carrier logs, store printouts, badge audits that contradicted the early morning door, chain of custody for the second phone, my ledger entries boring enough to glow. Cal confirmed the masked me offered single-syllable answers and kept eyes on the meter. Mrs. Flores confirmed slippers at 2:13 and a raccoon at 2:16 that refuses to respect its name twice and shows up thrice. My mother said she believed and unbelieved me 3 times in one morning and decided belief is less verdict than practice. Theo's brother tried to joke. No one bought tickets. Theo said, calmly, delete me from your plan and stop operating my girlfriend's life like a family project. It wasn't a slam, it was carpentry. He removed a shelf that shouldn't have been weight-bearing.
We ended with a handout, the rule printed in large font, signatures underneath. Say the thing before the camera does. People folded the paper like a map to anywhere less cruel. There's a version where I leave and win the soundtrack. There's a version where Theo kneels in public and asks for forgiveness with witnesses. We chose the version that doesn't play well online. Documented, attentive, ordinary. We wake at 6:10, we write for 10 minutes, ledger style, not literature. 6:12, toast. 6:13, he cuts fruit like practicing gentleness. 6:14, coffee tastes less like apology, more like coffee. The safe lives on the closet floor like a pet that doesn't move. When the internet auditions a new me, I send hours instead of arguments. 2:11, seltzer. 2:13, slippers. 2:19, elevator sigh. 2:24, Theo awake, not narrating. 2:31, streetlight hum. Crowds aren't moved, rooms are. Rooms sign leases, file forms, pass casseroles, keep keys. Sometimes at night I stand in the pantry and say to the dark, I am here. The wee children whisper passwords to trees. Theo answers, I know, without telling the sentence where to go next. The house breathes, the bed holds, the phone rests like a retired athlete. The ledger waits, not hungry, just ready. If people ask what happened, I can do it in a breath. He mirrored my life on a second phone, and for a minute, everyone trusted his version. We answered edits with receipts, returned what wasn't ours, and kept what was. Peace doesn't look like triumph. It looks like a safe that is heavier than a plot, a camera turned politely toward the hall, and two people choosing boredom as a practice. Because boring is the opposite of being cloned, and boring, finally, is the truest revenge.